In this video, I'm going to show you how to do some very basic formatting in a Google Doc for APA 7th edition in a student sample paper. The first thing you should do is bookmark a great resource. Purdue University has the OWL website, which is the online writing lab. OWL Purdue is a great resource for APA. It's going to give you all the things that are in the APA manual, just kind of in a more condensed form. And they also give you a student sample paper. Really, if you're very good at just kind of mirroring and you already know a lot about formatting in Google Docs, you can just follow this sample paper as a guideline. It's going to show you, where your page numbers go. In the comments along the side, it does a great job of giving you tips and tricks about how to write that student paper and what the formatting should look like. So at that point, if you already feel very confident about your ability to format things in Google Docs, you probably could just stop the video here, download this paper, and just try to mirror that in Google Docs. For those of you who may be new to some of the tools in Google Docs and maybe you're used to Microsoft Word, but your school is using Google, I am going to walk through just some basic setup. We're just going to set up a paper as if I'm just getting ready to write one and submit it for a class. So the first thing you want to do when you go to your Google Drive and find the folder where you want to store your paper, and you're going to click New Google Doc. And I have a folder that I've already shared with my professor in this hypothetical situation, so I know anything I put in this folder will also be shared that way. When you open a new Google Doc, whatever the defaults are that you have set is what's going to come up. Your defaults might not look like mine because I've already altered mine, but I am going to walk you through how to change some of those things. You might have some specific directions from your instructor on how you want this paper named. So I'm going to just call this with my, let's call it first, last. So if your first name, your last name, and we're going to call this an article analysis paper. Next thing I want to do is just change the default normal font on my paper to be whatever my instructor said I have to use. APA gives you some different options. I find a lot of professors are going to ask you to use Times New Roman 12-point font, so that's the one I'll show you today, but they might also say Calibri 11-point or Arial. There's different options. I would say Times New Roman is probably the most common. So I'm going to choose Times New Roman 12-point font, and I'm just going to say this is my normal font. Other things I want to set and make different, I want to fix my margins. You can see my margins are kind of small. My defaults are set at 1/2-inch margins. APA wants 1-inch margins. So to fix that, we're going to go up to File, scroll down to Page Setup, and we can change our margins here. So I'm going to change these all to 1-inch margins and push OK. Great. The other thing that APA wants is double spacing. So right now, my font, I can tell that my default is actually on single space. If I go to Format, Line and Paragraph Spacing, see my default is single. Let's change it to double space. Now I've changed all those settings. Let's save that. I've got the right margin. I typically would write left justified. I'm in Times New Roman 12-point in double spacing. So to change and make this a default for this paper, we're going to go up next to the font. You can see it says the words normal text. This is the styles pane. We're just going to go ahead and change the normal text so it saves what we just did. So you can see my normal text was my regular default. It was that Lotto 9-point font. So when I point my mouse at normal text, I have two options. I can either make it apply the normal text I already have saved to what I just wrote. We don't want to do that. Instead, I want to say update normal text to match. So now what it did was I told them I want this to be my normal font. So if I go up to my styles pane again, look, you can see that my normal font has changed to the Times New Roman 12-point. All right, so I've set my normal font. I can delete those words now that I've set it. Now we're going to get our paper set up. The first paper in APA is the title page. And in the title page, you need to have the title centered and 3 to 4 spaces down. So I'm going to go ahead and center my text. I'm going to hit enter 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to get ready to type the title of my paper. Today, I'm just going to call it article analysis paper. And a title is written in title case, meaning the first letter of each word is capitalized. It's centered and it's bolded. So we are going to do that. Below your title, you want to hit enter 2 times, 1, 2, because you want to have a double space after the title. Now I'm going to take the bolded off, and now it's time to put all the information that APA says a student sample paper should have. So I could always go back and reference. I can see here I need my name, the department and the university, the course, the instructor, and the date. So let's go ahead and add all those pieces. This is what the front page should look like. There's one more thing we need to add, and that's page numbers. In a student paper for APA style, a page number goes in the top right-hand corner. To get it there, we're going to move our mouse up to the header section, which is the top, like 1 inch of the paper, and I'm going to double click. That opens up the header for you. We are going to click Right Justify, because our page number needs to go in the right-hand corner. And now we're going to click Insert and choose Page Numbers. The upper left-hand corner example here is most like what we want for APA style. You can see it has a number on every page, and it's in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to click that. And because I changed my normal text default to Times New Roman, it knew to make this Times New Roman. If you forgot to change this step, like I showed you, if you forgot to change your normal text default, it's going to use your default up there. So make sure you do change this at the very least, change your normal text default. You don't want to have multiple fonts in the same paper. All right, so my title page is all set up. For a student paper, you can see that's really all that goes on the front page. You might be tempted at this point to just keep hitting enter a whole bunch of times until you get to the next page. That's actually a bad habit to get into, because what happens is as you go back and revise your paper and add a little bit more content, when you know the next page has to start at the next section starts at the top of the next page, you want to instead use a page break. So instead, where I finished my writing, I want everything after July 2024, no matter where I move this, I want the next thing to go on the next page. So instead, I'm going to leave my cursor there and click Insert, Break, Page Break. You see it jump me to the next page. So that means no matter what, anything I do after 2024 is going to jump to this next page. This is where you put your title again and use that same formatting. It should be centered in title case. So we called this article analysis paper. Again, your title should be more creative than that. And I want it to be bolded and centered. From there, I'll hit enter. And now I want to go back to my normal text. Not bolded and left justified. And this is where my paper will begin. All papers begin with an introduction paragraph, but in APA, you don't use a heading level called introduction. Your title serves as that first heading level. When I'm ready to start writing my paper, we don't start all the way left justified. Paragraphs start indented a half an inch. So you can hit the tab button to indent a half an inch. When you hit the tab button, the default setting should be that it moves over a half an inch. There are ways to change that, but honestly, there's really no reason to fix that. That's pretty standard across whatever style you're doing. So again, your paragraph would start here. So I'm just going to write a sentence. Here is where I would start my paragraph, and you would keep typing there. So this is what the style would look like. When I'm ready to, after I write probably several paragraphs, at least one paragraph of my introduction, I'm ready for the next section of my paper. And in a simple article analysis, I'll have a couple paragraphs of an introduction, setting up the problem, what it is I'm looking for, and then my next section would maybe be my analysis of that article. So I'm going to call my next section analysis. Heading level 1 in APA. So if you go down, when you have the next section of the paper, you can see, let's find where they have their first level 1 heading. There it is. Their first section is called Literature Review. That's actually a pretty common next section. And you can see that it's centered right over here and it's bold. It looks just like the same formatting for a title. If analysis is my next section, you might have, like I said, you might have Literature Review. I'm going to highlight it, bold it, and center it. I mentioned before, if you think you're going to use a lot of level 1 headings, just like we changed our normal text font, we can actually change our heading level 1 font in the same way. I can point at it and update it to match. So now I can see heading level 1 is set that way. All right, so now I'm getting ready to start my paper, and I would hit tab to indent. And so I started typing that second section, my analysis. And so I just kind of showed you what the paragraph would look like. And you might start with an introduction sentence or so to this new section of the paper, but you might have some different themes of your analysis. You might have a theme it depends on what your article is about. So you maybe have 2 or 3 themes that you've found. That's a common way to do a thematic analysis. So when I hit enter, when I'm ready to start my first theme and tell you about it, I'm going to make a level 2 heading. So whatever my theme 1 is, my level 2 heading looks very similar to level 1. It's bolded and title case, but this time it's left justified over to the side. So this is my level 2. I can save that here. And now I'm ready to start my level 2. Again, always every paragraph below that will start with its indented. So here's where I talk about my first theme of the paper. I'm writing my paragraphs, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm ready for theme 2. And if you happen to do what I just did and save that style, you can just kind of highlight it and it'll automatically change it to level 2 for you. Otherwise, you can just bold it yourself. So hit enter. Here's where I talk about my second theme. Okay, let's say I had 3 themes, and I have to make this one a level 2 also. Great. So I'm kind of getting my paper template ready, so I'm ready to fill in the blanks. I'm going to have another section beyond the analysis. At the very least, I need to have some kind of conclusion. You might have other sections like a discussion section first, but here it is. I'm going to do a conclusion. So I'm going to type the words conclusion, and I'm going back to level 1 because it's the next big level heading. And again, I hit the tab button. Here is where I write my concluding paragraphs. So I'm kind of all set up over here. I've used my heading styles, and because I have named them and used the styles up here, you can see here it actually made me a beautiful outline on the side. So that's what I was saying before, that this step is optional, but it is good practice to get into. When your paper ends, obviously my paper is going to be longer than a single page here. I just am setting up a template, so I'm ready to go typing in later. The next thing you want to do is at the end of your conclusion, I'm going to hit enter one time, we want to get ready for our reference page. And in a similar way, how I don't want to just keep hitting enter to the next page, I want to use a page break because my references always have to start at the top of the next page after my concluding paragraphs. So I entered down one line, so no matter how much I fill in this paper, no matter what, it'll start a brand new page for my references. So I'm going to hit insert, page break, jumps me to the next page, and we're going to use another level 1 heading, and we're going to call it references. This video is not going to go through how to format your references. That's a whole nother video to talk about in-text citations and reference list citations, but it is getting your paper set up so that it's ready to go for you to start typing.